Hey everybody from across Canada. My name is Angela Gorin, and with me tonight on the virtual cycle mission team is Andrea. You want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. And Nick misses you, everybody, but the three of us are coming from Ottawa, our nation's capital city, which is, of course, where you're soon to meet the first Can Fund athlete that we're so ecstatic to have on board. And thanks to Can Fund for all the things they do, as you're going to learn soon about them as an organization. But we're really excited, and I think first and foremost to kick it off, this is our first of hopefully many to come over the course of the next 6 months as we get towards September of 2021 and start to really push you all that are participating in either a province or the Cross Canada Virtual Cycle Missions. It's really fascinating to meet all of you as you register and participate. I think each one of you has a story. So Ariane, trust me, if some get to share a little bit, you'll be inspired, because we've met so many incredible Canadians, and obviously the purpose of why they're joining us is because of Can Fund and supporting our Canadian athletes. So this is, again, something that is really a passion project for myself, Andrea, and Nick. It was something at the start of the pandemic, which really hit all of us across the world, not just Canada. And I think it really hit home to really see that our Canadian athletes obviously had a very different summer last year with not being able to participate in their games. And now what definitely you're gonna learn is a back-to-back games, if you weren't listening for the first few minutes while we were getting set up, where there's gonna be, a lot of athletes out of funding and out of that support that is really a desperate need to have a shout out for support. So without each one of you that are putting your, pedal to the metal, and putting in those extra miles, you're helping Canadian athletes every pedal stroke of the way. And we really are so truly honored that you took the time to try out the virtual cycle mission and participate. And we look forward to bringing you some more virtual events, which we'll share when we end today's session, because we've got some exciting news. But without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic over to Conrad Lineman, former Olympic athlete and Olympian. He's got a story of himself. He is one of the founders of Can Fund and Ali, to let you know a little bit about the great organization that we are backing with all of your support.
Thanks, Angela. This is awesome, Andrea and Nick, for putting this together with VCM. It's so great that we have riders across Canada taking on the challenge and at the same time supporting our top Canadian athletes. And all the riders so far are getting to find out. The cool thing about Can Fund is you find out who you've helped, and you're going to actually hear from her tonight. So thanks for being on the call, Ariane. It's going to be great. Everybody's looking forward to it. A little bit about Can Fund. So my wife actually started it, Jane Roos, and we've raised over $40 million to date, and we give it to all of our top athletes. Winter, summer, and Paralympic athletes get $6,000 each application, and we just had our last application January the 3rd of 2021, and we had over 850 athletes apply to us. So we have a lot of work to do. We got to raise multi-millions of dollars to help everybody. But how cool is this, where you got riders across Canada chipping in to help another cyclist? And we'll see who the next athlete will be coming up, and we'll let you guys know that. But this is the cool thing, is you make a donation, you get a tax receipt. So you probably got that tax receipt in the mail. I hand wrote those out, just so you know. You find out who you've helped, you get a tax receipt, and the money goes directly to our top athletes. And that's basically all I'm going to say. You don't want to hear from me. I went to the Olympics in beach volleyball a long time ago in 2000. And now it's just awesome that I'm able to help our future athletes, or shooting to the Olympics. A lot of athletes still don't know that they've qualified for the Olympics. They're still in the process. Ariane is already named to the team, and there's 13 that were named, and maybe, obviously that's going to come up in tonight's discussion. But how cool is that? You're already named, you're going to Tokyo, and they said it's happening. We're going to Tokyo, so we're all excited, and that's all I'm going to say.
Perfect. Well, I think what will be a good mix between introducing you, Ariane. I know Ali's got an incredible video to showcase because so many of the virtual cycle mission participants have been asking about learning about CanFund. This is their first introduction, really, Conrad and Ali. And I think it's fantastic to when you think about it, it's a big country, but there's not too many people in comparison. So I absolutely love that people are learning about what you guys are doing. And there's a lot of great things. Obviously, if you visit CanFund's website, you can learn a lot about what they do. Additionally, a lot of people have been asking us if they can raise more funding for CanFund during the virtual cycle mission. And the answer is yes, absolutely. We apologize on our website. It's not the best, but it is at the bottom. We're going to change that. There is a link to do additional donations, which links you right to the CanFund website. And from there, you can make whatever amount you want to donate. There's lots of corporate companies, people that have introduced us to other corporate companies that are making more so a pledge or doing something as a sponsorship. As the spring and summer comes, it's a great time to put more people together and do some really neat things. So anyways, I think, Ali, that kind of gives you a really good intro to showcase this wonderful video you've got so people can have an idea. And then I'm gonna leave it to you to introduce Ariane.
Great, yep, let me just cue that up for you. Basically, this video was created pro bono by another Canadian athlete. She's a rower training towards Tokyo, and she created it for us as a thank you, and it really shares the impact of CanFund. So it's not allowing me to share my screen though.
Let me fix that. There we go.
There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dear CanFund, I want to thank you. It has been my dream to represent Canada on the world stage since I can remember. When it finally became a reality, I didn't expect the financial, emotional, and physical obstacles that would come with wearing the maple leaf. With your support, I was able to turn these obstacles into opportunities. Opportunities to go further, to row stronger, and to dive into deeper water. So thank you. Thank you for believing in me when my rowing career came to a crossroads. Thank you for supporting me when I chose to stand tall and not look back. Thank you, CanFund, for being part of this tough, grueling, and demanding journey. It's the best thing I've ever done.
I was born to win.
All right, well, now that we've set the tone, I'm very excited to introduce to you tonight our CanFund 150 Women recipient, Ariane Bonhomme. She's currently ranked 4th at the last World Championships in the team pursuit and is, Conrad mentioned, one of the 13 track cyclists who's been named to the team who will be competing in Tokyo this summer. Ariane, thank you so much for joining us. I'll pass it over to you.
Hi, thanks a lot for having me. I'm in Hawaii right now. It's pretty windy, so I hope you can hear me well. Great. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm always a bit shy about introducing myself because I feel like there's nothing really special about it, but I know it's not true. But yeah, I'm 25, I'm from Gatineau. Grew up doing a ton of sport, and kind of clicked on speed skating early on short track, and then kind of transitioned into cycling pretty slowly. I had a knee injury that kind of just veered me more towards cycling than speed skating, so it kind of just happened naturally. I've been on the women's team pursuit since 2017, so I guess, yeah, it would be my 4th year this year. We're training really hard. wanting to win a gold medal at the Olympics. That's our ultimate goal. We're in Hawaii right now, training really hard. There's three out of the 5 members that are here. Yeah, and we're doing pretty well. So it's awesome. We're really excited to get back on the track, to kind of put all those pieces together, but it's definitely been a long journey this year, and our team was pretty separated just from COVID and stuff. But everyone's been absolutely crushing it. I mean, I was hoping for it. I didn't expect to be that good. So yeah, hopefully we can get back on the track soon and pull it off this summer.
So perhaps, hey, Ariane, maybe you want to share a little bit about how you got into cycling. Like, did you grow up always in Gatineau, and when was the first time you rode a bike?
Well, I can't quite remember the first time I rode a bike. I think I started pretty early on as a kid. I was always very active. So yeah, I remember one of the first time I remember riding a bike, I was like trying to follow my brother and my cousin around, and there was this like big hill at the time. Now I look at it and it's the smallest thing, but I just went down and I didn't make the turn and just went straight through. Hit the curb, like front flip. It was great. But yeah, I've always been very active. I mostly started racing. I was a speed skater. Started in like grade 5, and then I did my first bike race in like summer of between grade 6 and in high school. I definitely did not like it at first. Like, it was not love at first sight. I wasn't super hooked on it, but my mom kind of kept pushing it, and she was like, well, it'll be really good for your speed skating if all. So I just kind of kept at it. And yeah, I got a knee injury just kind of growing up and hitting puberty. Just my knees kind of gave up a bit. So cycling was really the only way I could keep being active, and I just made the pretty easy transition to it. And then I got into track cycling a few years later. Maybe I was around 16. I made the transition and then quickly like hit the junior ranks and went to like junior Pan Ams, junior World. So that was my first kind of international experiences. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. And I think it'd be neat for lots of the people here who are, I'd say recreational riders to kind of like master cyclists, and they're really obviously into understanding it and the different disciplines. So from a training regimen, maybe, because here are people that are, biking on their trainer and outdoors when the weather finally smartens up here in Canada, right? Don't come back from Hawaii, stay there a little bit longer. But what would be a typical day in the life of Ariane? Like if you were to get up and explain it, like, and break it down from a period point, I think it's really interesting because so many cyclists, obviously, who are roadies, they put in extreme long miles and hours. For a track cyclist, it's a little bit different. So I think it'd be really neat for you to share, what is that typical day for you as an athlete, and what would be some of those kind of main training, I guess, programs that you would be doing to look at your speed and power? Because I know people will probably be very interested in that.
Yeah, well, it does vary quite a bit. Like right now in Hawaii, we're doing a lot of road miles. It's something really interesting with Team Pursuit that we need to do quite a bit of endurance, because it is an endurance event, but it's also such a power event, and it's turning more and more into that as especially, well, both men and women's side is growing, but especially the women's side, it's so much power. It's getting into those like big gears on the bike, and just like being able to push those really big gear, and we only have one gear on our bike. So the gear we pick is the gear that we're gonna run for the whole thing. So you need to be able to pick a gear that you can go from like 0K an hour to be able to maintain 60K an hour for 4 minutes. So you need to be able to start it as quickly as possible. So it's a lot of strength that we do. But right now in Hawaii, like a typical day, I would wake up around 7 and have coffee. We've been absolutely loving banana pancakes while we're here. It's been great. So eating that every morning with maple syrup. And then we usually leave for rides around 8:30 or 9. And right now we're doing a lot of just road, like base miles. So anything between 3 hours, and sometimes we'll do rides. Like we went a few times of the volcano Haleakala. That would be a 6.5 hour ride. So it really depends, but we're more around that. And then we'll have one session a week that is more team pursuit-ish effort. So anything between like 2 and 6 minutes effort that we'll do on our time trial bikes to get used to that kind of pursuit position. And yeah, so we do that in the morning and then come back, have lunch, take a bit of a breather, and then I'll often do school if my brain isn't too dead. But yeah, I definitely have to commit to it. So school in the afternoon, and we often will make dinner and bring it to the beach to watch sunset while we eat dinner because it's literally right there. So that's been absolutely amazing, and a great way to kind of end the day. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last almost 2 months.
That's
yeah,
great.
it's awesome.
Exceptional. And I think before we kind of open up for Q&A, I always kind of like to ask this out of learning so much about so many athletes and somewhat being one. What are some of those challenges for you? Obviously, you grew up, you're only 25, so you're still a very young woman. You've got lots of opportunity, but you have teammates and crewmates. What would be, I think, if you were to kind of express from a young age to now, what are some of those things that you feel as a female, especially in sport, that might have been challenges, I'd say, in the last decade for you, from being like a teenager and then going off to junior worlds and getting to a place where you are now? Has there been any kind of like blockage or anything that you've kind of experienced, or has it been kind of like a smooth sail?
Definitely anything but a smooth sail. Yeah, I mean, I've encountered a lot of challenges on the road. It's funny because I was talking about it with my coach the other day, and like, even though like looking back, so many challenges along the way that I feel like most people would stop. Like I was telling him, I'm like, this was honestly the easiest thing. Like I don't want to say that in a way that I do have some talent, but I think I'm a really hard worker, and I got there through like a lot of sweat and tears and blood, as we can say, but it was never like hard for me to make this decision to like go through that hurdle or that obstacle. Like it just, and I never really doubted that I would be here, even though I know that a lot of people have. Like I think I wasn't always good, like especially when I turned the switch between junior and elite is quite big, for especially for women, because the men, they have the U23 category, so they can kind of more slowly make the jump, but we don't. So like I went from junior racing as like a 17-18-year-old to have to compete against Caroline Canuel and Leah Kirchman, and it was definitely a really, really hard step. And I do honestly think a lot of people lost faith in me, but I never, like, and I think if you talk about that with people around me, they would be like, that's not true. But even though I was like, I would tell my coach, I was like, this is my last year. Like, I don't like this. Like, I like just saying it, and then, okay, like I said it, and maybe saying it was the way for me to know I had the option to stop, and then being like, I have the option and I don't want to, and just like keep pushing through all those obstacles, which, I mean, yeah, I had a lot of crashes and not many broken bones, but a lot of concussions, which took me quite a bit to get through. I've also had a coach that was definitely not the greatest with me. I think definitely no like kind of abuse and stuff, but just we were definitely not on the same page, and I think that kind of took my performance for a couple years down the drain. And it was like having the ability to realize that it wasn't me, and it was more the like relationship we had together that didn't work, and getting out of it, finding someone else that would make it better. And it obviously did, and I'm here now, and I'm definitely proud of my whole journey. It hasn't been easy, but also I feel like it has, like all this decision I've made were definitely easy ones to make.
That's good. It means you followed the path for you of less resistance, or less resistance, as they say. Well, a couple questions from the floor for you, and I think it kind of bodes well. First and foremost, from what you just kind of talked about, you know, in regards to the funding, because you were talking about some of the challenges and what what you've gone through in the last, you know, I say decade to get to where you are today. From CanFund's perspective and for yourself, how much does it mean to receive funding to support you on this journey from CanFund?
I mean, it's huge. Being part of the CanFund family, I mean, it's something that I've always wanted, and I think receiving it now makes it so much easier to go through the games and not worried about the kind of financial side of it, and especially like going through the games and afterwards. I think, I mean, I don't know if I want to keep going after, and one of the main reason is that financial side. Like, I don't want, if I keep going for another cycle, then it's hard to, you know, come out of the Olympics as a 30-year-old and not really have anything. And I'm doing school during sport, but the program I want to apply to is you definitely cannot do it while doing sport. So I would have to go back to school once I'm done sport. And it is challenging. Like, do I want to not have a career before I'm 34 or 35? I mean, I don't know, like, how am I going to live? But being able to get that support definitely makes me want to keep going, because I do want to keep going, but I just don't know if it's a smart decision. So it's definitely huge for sure.
Awesome.
No, that's great. Well, I think it means so much to hear that from you, and obviously, like all the athletes that CanFund supports, it means a lot, and everybody's got their own story, right? So it's always nice to hear that. So I'm on behalf of Richard Rogers. He doesn't have a microphone, so I was going to open the floor, and he said, I don't have a mic, but he's got some great questions. He's coming from Toronto. So his first question is obviously he says hi. He asks, is Hawaii a benefit to your training? Do you notice training in the humidity? And has more sunshine affected it? And how about the scenery? Is this motivating? And of course, the last question there is, are the bananas better in Hawaii than they are in Canada?
I mean, being able to come here was huge for our preparation. We had to do this big endurance block to be able to back up our track block that really is coming up until the Olympics, and we definitely need that base, or we're just gonna run out of fitness, as we as we say. But so it's definitely been huge to come here. I mean, no one wants to ride the trainer for 4 hours a day, and just being able to hit the hills, being able to have the sun, also the heat is and the humidity is really, really good to it's a really good practice for Tokyo. It's going to be hot there, so we're getting all the heat training we can get. Definitely coming from Gatineau, I'm pretty used to it, so I think that's an asset. But always trying to get our road miles and the heat training for sure.
That's perfect. And what about those bananas?
Oh, right. Well, if you get the local bananas, they're so good. They're a bit smaller. They're not like the long ones, or the regular ones, I guess, but they're a little smaller and they're so good.
They're sweeter, aren't they? They're really nice. Now, and that leads to kind of Richard's other question that he asked about, about food and nutrition. So of course, like, you're out there doing these long miles, which is actually a lot of the training you're doing is very similar to what a lot of the virtual cycle mission participants are doing, because of course they've got 10,891 kilometers to do the across Canada if they do west coast to east coast and include the territories. And some of obviously are taking their own time to do that over the course of the year, or they might be trying to squeeze it in a few months. So lots of long, hard miles definitely on the trainer if they're in Canada, right? Which many of us are now. But what would be, like some of the nutrition tips or things that you do for your daily nutrition? Banana pancakes, number one, of course, we know that. What do you eat when you're on the bike for fuel and off for recovery?
Yeah, fuel is huge to be able to get through training and being able to do back-to-back days and weeks, really. So we really focus on nutrition on the bike and really right after. I mean, the whole day for sure, but our like key points are on the bike. You need to fuel and right after to be able to recover for the next day. But usually, like, a pretty easy rule for us is 60 to 90 grams of carb per hour, which kind of looks like, if I try to find example, like 1 scoop of normal like drink mix is 30, so it would be like 1 bottle with 1 scoop. A banana is 30 as well, or around that, and so that's 60. So that's like our minimum, but we can go up to 90. So another 30 would be something like a bar, or those like Cliff shot blocks, like half a package is 24 grams of carbs. The fact that I know that also, but so we try and at least a bottle an hour, and when it's hotter it's definitely more. But
no, that's perfect. That's some good advice, especially for people that are listening. And then we've got another individual that's asked a great question here about tools. So kind of going away from nutrition and then looking at the tools that you use for optimizing mental toughness, as well as I guess physical tools for training, right? So lots of us obviously use Garmin's, our different devices, Wahoo, to track our fitness. What are some of those main tools you would use if you were back in Canada, but also what you're using down in Hawaii, both physically and I guess, yeah, for mental toughness.
Yeah, well, we definitely use power meters. That like dictates most of our training. Other than that, I mean, yeah, that's mostly what we'll use to track training.
Nice. No, that's perfect. So, and would you, I guess from a product list, would you be using, do you guys use double-sided power pedals, or are you usually reliant on one side? I think some people
Definitely
would be
dual-sided, yeah.
Nice. No, it's perfect. And then I know earlier on you mentioned you had a conversation the other day with your coach, right? So is your coach somebody who you lean on for, you know, personal conversations? Like there's those hard days, right? And I think that's one of the other questions that's here is about that mental toughness. So for I guess like that conversation, or when you're having those harder days, or you just need that added support, like what do you do for mental toughness? Getting through the hard days.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially at every camp, there's very hard days, and you know, we're trying to kind of push the body every day. Our coach, he's been around for almost 2 years now. But yeah, I guess when the games were supposed to be last summer, it was kind of a year right before the game, which was definitely a good decision, but also a bit of a tight call. But now that we've been able to work with him for almost 2 years now, he's great. He really supports us in like everything we need, and he knows us so well that he can like figure out when we're having a tougher day, and he like knows what to say. And yeah, like I've had a bit of a back injury in the last couple weeks, and you know, like he's been great, and like not wanting to rush me back into it, because I mean, I was the first one to be like, no, it's fine. I want to keep training, and knowing it wasn't fine. And you know, he's really good at being like, take your time, like you're doing great, like you've been doing so much training already, and your numbers are amazing right now, and like you don't need to push it and then have to lose a month of training. Just take a week or two to get back and you'll be fine. So definitely, but in training in general, in the hard days, like just picturing winning the Olympics is pretty much enough for me.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
that dangling carrot, right? It's a good one, and that's a perfect.
And just having the team around too, you know, like we're all very competitive with each other, which I think is great. But just pushing those numbers or chasing each other up the hill or whatever. I mean, yeah, awesome. We have very healthy competition within the team, which is great.
That's perfect. So that leads really nicely into the next question, which is, you know, what does it look like going into the Olympics? Like, what is the schedule? So now you're obviously doing these long, beautiful rides that we're all getting envious as we see the blowing palm trees behind you. And you're out there enjoying these, you know, the sunshine in Hawaii. But when you come back, like obviously there's going to be a ramp up as Tokyo is right around the corner. What does it look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's my first time doing it, kind of, though we've done it a bit last year. The like start of a build-up, which does feel like it's not the first time that I'm doing it, just because we kind of went through last year a bit. But yeah, we're going back home at the end of next week. Yeah, at the end of next week in 10 days. And in 2 weeks quarantine. And then going to Milton for a couple weeks. I think it's a little over 2 weeks that we're going there, we're still doing individual training, trying again to push those numbers and trying to kind of individually get faster before we put everything together. So we're doing like a 2-3 week in Milton around April. And then we have another roadblock, which will be around 3 to 4 weeks, that we don't have a specific location right now. We might either go to Vancouver or we can possibly do it wherever we want, which I would love to be in Gatineau. I love riding there. I was trying to push to have camp there, but people sometimes have a weird, I don't know how to say that, a weird kind of expectation of what Quebec is. And they're like, the roads are so bad and there's so many potholes. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's the perfect place. But I would love to be there for 3-4 weeks to be able to train. Hopefully, I guess depending on how COVID goes, but being able to do some group rides in the Gatineau Park and kind of being able to do some, definitely no racing, but some like race simulation with big kind of group rides, which would really be ideal for me, because we're definitely missing a bit those race day and race intensity. And then we're doing like 9 to 10 week in Milton, building team pursuit mostly up until we leave for Tokyo.
That's fantastic. Well, it's nice to know you've got, we're going to say it's a short-term window, because really 6 months is going to fly by really, really quickly. So, and it seems like it's well mapped out. Sorry, lots of noise in the background. But there's 2 more questions that, well, there's a few more coming up, but Jesse and Daniel, they number one, it's really nice to, they say it's really nice to put a face to the CanFun athlete that's received the donation so far. And they've asked, like, how did the postponement of the Olympics affect your training, if at all?
I mean, it was huge. Like, I was not expecting that. We had literally just qualified for the games. World Championship was our last race, which was almost exactly a year ago, and we, like, the games were postponed like March 20th, maybe around there. Like, it was close. So glad we got it in. I can't even imagine not being qualified yet and having to kind of chase those races. We're definitely very fortunate to be qualified and know that even though it's not ideal that we haven't raced, like we won't be racing for like a year and a half before the games. Like, it was huge to just being able to qualify and being able to focus on that kind of one date that is coming up very quickly. But yeah, it was weird. It affected our whole team. I have a teammate, Annie, that had applied to med school. She had been accepted to UBC. She was ready to start in the fall, and she did, which she's amazing. I don't know how she does it. She's honestly amazing. But yeah, to be able, like, our team has been quite separated, but also being able to do individual training has been absolutely huge, and everyone is, as of now, is so much stronger than last year. And I think that's due to being apart in a way and having to do our own work. It's definitely been challenging to being alone at times. I think I'm a very competitive person, and I love training because I love being around my teammate and trying to beat them. And, you know, so for sure some days and weeks have been a lot harder to get through. But yeah, again, just picturing that gold medal at the end was definitely enough to to keep doing it. So yeah, and now we're here. We've been together, or three of us, for 2 months, and yeah, we won't really be apart until the game. So
That's great.
yeah.
That's nice. It's a sense of camaraderie, and especially during these times, it gives you a sense of being together too. So that's fantastic. I think too, one of the questions, same thing from Jesse and Daniel, and it would be interesting to know what is the bike that you ladies are going to be riding in Tokyo, and yeah, what is the gear? So I know I wear Louis Galno, which is of course a really great Canadian company. Curious to know what speed suit you ladies are wearing, and track components and bike has been selected, if you're allowed to release that.
Well, maybe not all of it. But our bikes were riding the Argon. I feel really bad. I can't. What is the model? The Argon that we've been riding. The top Argon track bike.
Track bike, yeah. They've only got two.
Yeah, for sure, track bike.
Yeah.
We ride, double disc. We have new extensions for our aero bars, which are great. Our suits, the team is sponsored by Garno, so we're having definitely special suits made for the games from them. And now we're allowed overshoes, so we're riding those, which is new. Our helmet, we're still on the Giros. We've tested them. They're the fastest. We've tested a bunch of them over last fall, and they're just the best for us. For sure, it's different for everyone, but it seems like it's a good trend on our team that those helmets are the best. We're definitely not set on the gear yet. So to come, I think definitely not the bigger the better, but we're definitely pushing towards quite big gears from what we've seen in the past Olympics and past World Championship.
Nice. So with larger gear, obviously that's going to be focused on, I'm assuming, like a lower RPM, kind of like I call it the Lionel Sanders, after watching him do and break the Canadian 1 hour record, where he was cranking out obviously not a faster RPM because he was doing a larger gear. Would that make sense? Are you ladies still pushing quite a high RPM even with the larger disc or the larger crank?
For sure, like the bigger gear lowers the RPM. I think we used to be around a range of more 115 to 120, which is quite high. And we're trying to go down to something that's more around 110 to 115.
Nice.
Which we found to be very helpful. It kind of smooths the whole line out, which is definitely key. So yeah, the only thing is to be able to start it, really, but we've been working really hard on that. It's a lot of gym work and just kind of technique work, but everyone's definitely getting there. So
That's awesome. Well, maybe to wrap things up and such, is there any, I guess I'll say to anybody that's in the attendees, if there's any other questions, type them now, and I'll take a quick look over there. But perhaps, Ariane, if you've got any last words of wisdom, or what you would, I guess one thing that would be curious, have you ever cycled across Canada or a province?
I have not. I would love to. This summer, with the whole, when COVID happened, my boyfriend cycled he's also on one of the 13 name for the Olympics, which is, I mean, pretty awesome. But he cycled from Victoria to Calgary, and I was at a training camp, and I was kind of upset that he left without me, but it was really like the best window for him to go, so I don't blame him at all. But we were at a training camp, and as soon as the training camp left, I left and I drove to meet him, and I finished the trip with him. So definitely, yeah, never across the whole province, but this is definitely, riding across BC is definitely something I want to do one day.
On the bucket list, I can definitely attest. I physically biked across Canada in 2013 or 2014 for kids, so it was remarkable. And BC is definitely a beautiful province. Every province is.
Yeah.
We've got one question that just came in, and it kind of follows what we were just talking about. You were putting in these long sessions on the track and talking about the gear. What is it? How do you recover from hard or long training rides? And it's kind of a two question. This is actually good. How do you recover from long or hard training rides? But also, what do you do for fun? I'm assuming she or he means that what do you do for fun aside from cycling, of course, because we all love the sport.
Well, yeah, to recover from a long ride, definitely eating as soon as the ride is over is key. Yeah, we try to get like a good amount of protein and carbs in, and definitely eat more than you think. Like, it's not just a normal kind of 2 egg on a piece of toast meal, or not for us. It's definitely kind of trying to get most of the calorie that we spend during the ride back as quickly as we can, and then kind of throughout the day, to get ready for the next day, it's a lot of kind of injury prevention, foam rolling. There's nothing too crazy about it really, but like foam rolling, lacrosse ball, just to make sure that kind of your muscles are relaxed and ready to go for the next day, and you don't get some overuse injury really. And what I do for fun, my teammate Georgia has taught me how to knit over a year ago now. It was December 2019, and I am so hooked. Like, it's seriously bad. I just love it. I make everything. I always have a project on the go, and then she often jokes, she's like, I did not think you would take it that far. But I started over a year ago a bit. I've made probably 3 sweaters, maybe 6 hats. I'm knitting a scarf right now, which is probably the longest scarf ever, on very, very like small needles, so it just takes a very long time. But I don't need a scarf right now, so I have all my time to do it, really.
That's awesome. As I'm coughing up a lung here, took a sip of water, so sorry. No, I think that's fantastic. And we've got another question that came in. Are you able to share cadence info? What cadence do you usually aim for? And do you, lower or higher cadence?
Well, it changes in every kind of event. Like, well, on the track in the team pursuit, we're aiming for like 115 RPM. That will be in team pursuit. In individual pursuit, we're going for like 105, around there. And then on the road, we're usually around anything between 80 and 100, depending on whether we're on flat roads or we're climbing. So yeah, if that answers the question. But usually for team pursuit, it's definitely on the higher side. So it's definitely a big work on to be able to have this like smooth but fast pedal stroke.
No, that's awesome. Well, it's a lot of work too, and I think for those that are joining and been with us, the a couple of questions around your discipline on the track, because we haven't really talked about that. Like, obviously, we know team pursuit. I know what that stands for because I'm a trackie, but I think a lot of the people that are here might, to kind of end on it is before, obviously pumping them up, because they're going to definitely put this in their program to be watching you and cheering you on the summer. What is the actual event? Who are your other teammates? And what is the distance in the team pursuit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. My teammates, we're 5. There's 5 of us. All my teammates are absolutely amazing. So we have Allison Beveridge, Jasmine During, Georgia Simmerling, Annie Foreman-Mackey, and me. So it's a 16-lap race, so it's 4 kilometers. There's 4 of us on the track at the same time, and we kind of, it's amazing to watch. You guys should go watch videos, but we ride very closely, one behind another, and do like an exchange. So we like kind of relay, but the time is taking on the 3rd rider. So we are allowed to drop 1 rider within the race, which is amazing for strategy. So you can really use up a rider that can drop, and then we finish. So to maximize speed, it's a great strategy, really. And then the tournament, it's 3 races in total. So we do qualifiers, and only the first 8 team goes through qualifiers, and then 1st and 4th will race against each other, and 2nd and 3rd will race against each other. And the same thing for 5 and 8 and 6 and 7. But it's complicated. But the 1 and 4th and 2nd and 3rd on those rounds, like, we race each other, and the whoever team wins each of those rounds will go to the gold medal final. So then we have finals, and yeah, so it's gold, silver, final, and 3 and 4. So yeah, so 8 teams go through qualifiers, and then for finals it's only 4. So every ride, you need to do very well in every ride, for sure. There's no like easier one. It's definitely like all into each ride, which is great to be able, like, to have 5 rider. We're able to interchange riders in each rides, which is also a great strategy to be able to kind of conserve someone's legs for finals or for another round.
That's fantastic. That's good. We should have actually started with that, and then everybody would have actually got discipline. But no, this is perfect. Well, and I think to kind of end it off, and I think this is a great way to lead the inspiration forward. I'm going to pass the mic over. This is the first time, but there are two that were asking questions earlier, Jesse and Daniel. They're 11-year-olds. They're twins. And I think their message and saying hi to you, to share how much it means to listen to you answer the question, I think would give you some meaning, because you're obviously setting the tone to be a big role model. So give me a sec. I'm going to see what we can get them going live. Jesse and Daniel, are you there? Jesse and Daniel, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
We can hear you. We can't see you though. You're a blank screen right now.
We don't have the camera settings in.
You do.
Oh, that's who. Oh.
Okay,
Here's
Tom.
future talent, right? It's paying it forward.
Yeah.
So talk.
Where are you guys calling in from, Jesse and Danielle?
Near Toronto,
Maple.
Maple.
So you're riding across Canada.
We're doing a ride across Canada mission.
Tell where you are. We have
And
1,000.
we only have 997 kilometers left.
Wow.
That's amazing. I think, well, and there's a team, right? So I believe your dad's also biking with you if I hear him in the background. I know there's like a crew of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Fantastic. So, and are you big cyclists every given day, I guess? Is this something that you guys are looking forward to doing in the future?
Yes.
Nice.
We're doing 2 sports at the moment. We're doing swimming and we're doing biking, but I'm thinking that I like biking better. I'm probably going to drop swimming when I get to a higher level.
There you go. Smart move. I think Ariane would probably approve of that. Nice. Well, do you gentlemen have any questions to ask Ariane to end this evening before we kind of wrap things up?
You have a question? Quickly.
On the spot.
How did you get into cycling?
No, we heard that. She was.
Great question. I was a speed skater before, and it was kind of a great summer sport. It was a great cross training to be able to keep training for speed skating. I was doing short track, though I was never really good at it. And yeah, I think I found better skills in cycling, so I transitioned from speed skating to cycling.
There you go. It's like the swimming and the cycling. At one point, you have to be kind of
exactly.
Well, Jesse and Daniel, thanks so much for joining us and asking a quick question and saying hi to Ariane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Angela, just if I can cut in, I just wanted to thank all the VCM riders out there that are supporting athletes like Ariane. And thanks for taking the time and answering everybody's questions. And remember, follow us at CanFun on all social media platforms. We've got a lot of stuff happening. It's International Women's Day coming up, but it's basically, we're making it International Women's Month. Our women in a lot of sports are going to do really well in Tokyo and Beijing coming up in 2022. So that's the best way to stay in touch with us, learn a little bit about us, but check us out on our website at mycanfun.ca. We've got a lot of cool ways that you can support athletes, and we've got a lot of athletes to help. Angela, thank you for putting this together. I wish I was in Hawaii. Thank you for doing this. This has been awesome. I'll pass it back over to you.
Yeah, well, same thing, and I guess we're right on the hour. So again, just to reciprocate exactly what Conrad said, we're so grateful, Conrad and Jane and Ali and all of the CanFun athletes, Ariane, obviously, because you're our first donee, I guess, our recipient. We're looking forward to doing a heck of a lot more over the coming months. And I wouldn't be here without Andrea and Nick, who are a part of kind of putting this, formula to the madness, I guess. All the work that you've seen is, put together, in fact, by a bunch of small businesses and charities. So a lot of people have been asking that, and I think a shout out to all the beautiful gear that the cyclists are receiving is by Surge Activewear, another great Canadian company, hard hit during these times, obviously, because a lot of events had to be canceled. So we supported a young couple with their kids and their family that do beautiful manufacturing. Also, all the artwork that you see on the jersey is Coast Salish. It comes from Johnny Maynard Jr. out of the Cowichan Valley, which is my hometown on Vancouver Island. So you're wearing an internationally acclaimed Coast Salish artist's work, and it's reciprocal. All of the wildlife that's beautifully placed on the jersey is it mimics the provinces and the territories. So when you're riding, you're actually truly wearing Canadiana. And the coins that you're going to collect is from an incredibly, which I love saying in Canada, we're so diverse. It's from a young gentleman who is through Invest Ottawa, a local accelerator, supports young businesses and startups. He is a landed immigrant from Russia, and he is the individual that was the person that made the beautiful Canada 150 commemorative coin. Look forward to receiving those when you complete them. They'll be coming at the end of the missions. But I think, on behalf of everybody and because of this, and this is a great note to end on, Ariane, and it's exciting because definitely please pass it on to share with all of the other athletes that you know, and all those that are joining us and listening live on Facebook and Instagram. We've decided at Virtual Cycle Mission with CanFund to extend doing the Virtual Cycle Mission with a few other events. And one that we're extremely excited to soon announce and release the landing page of, which is going to be a Canada Day virtual Grand Fondo. So we've been asked if we're going to be continuing to do other events. This one's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a one-time event. So for all of you Fondoites, as I call us, or Radlers, this is about getting people out. It's not going to be this long virtual mission like the challenge has been with VCM for Cross Canada or province. But of course, we all know Grand Fondos, you'll have your super, which is 180K, and then a grand, which is 120 kilometers. And then we'll have the Centurion at 100K and a mini Grand Fondo at 60 kilometers to really encourage the youngins and the others that are newbies to the sport to participate. And this one's going to have a lot more about raising funding and donations for CanFund and really showing the faces of our Canadian athletes that are out there. And we're really excited. So the launch is going to start in April. You'll have time to register. And then, of course, July 1st is when the links will start to be sent out, or before July 1st. And then the participation in that, you'll only have one day to do it when you start it, will go between July the 1st and September the 6th, which of course is also when the VCM across Canada and the provincial missions end. So we'll be posting a lot more and sharing that on the site. But I think without further ado, Ariane, thank you so much for your time and joining us from your training spot. And yeah, Conrad's about to go for his evening bike ride. So we thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And again, the participants, we are so appreciative of all the hard sweat that you're putting in to support our athletes. And I definitely know, to end on a high note and give you a heartwarming feeling, Terry Holner has said that her husband and herself would personally like to thank you and all of what CanFund's doing for support. They're enjoying every single mile, and this is the first time they have been able to do something together and challenge each other. It's meaning a lot to them. So these are the type of messages we're receiving. And Terry, you're exactly right. We're so touched to have every single one of you join. So thank you again. And Ariane, enjoy your meal. I guess it's like early in the afternoon there. So you've done your training in the morning. So enjoy the rest of the day there in your studies. Rest up, and we'll be cheering you on every pedal stroke of the way. And don't be a stranger. Let us know where else we can help you and the other ladies on your team. And Conrad, Ali, thanks for joining. Andrea, fantastic. Panelists or attendees, have a good evening.